All right, so maybe you're thinking about getting the Meta Raven smart glasses. In this video, I'll give you my long-term review. I had mine for over a year. I'll give you the good, the bad, and maybe that'll help you make a decision as to whether or not you should get them. Let's do it. All right, so I have my Meta Raven smart glasses for over a year. I've taken them everywhere. I bought them initially to take behind the scenes video when I'm on set. A lot of times I found that, trying to get behind the scenes photos and video, pulling out my phone was a little bit too much while I was, busy shooting something. So I decided, when this first came out, I thought, well, this would be a good idea to just use them, to take behind the scenes photos and videos. That was the initial thought behind when I originally purchased them. Now, after using them a lot, there's a few things that I found out. So I'll give you the things that I enjoy doing the most with my smart glasses. Number one is the Bluetooth headset. Actually, the audio quality is exceptional. I find myself listening to music all the time using them. The audio quality is just, again, I did not expect that. It's like one of the most useful features of the Meta Ray-Ban. I mean, I constantly, I listen to podcasts, I listen to music. If I'm working out, if I'm just, in the office working, I'll be listening to a podcast or something like that, or, if I'm watching a YouTube video. So the headset is really exceptional. I mean, you could argue that the headset alone is worth the $350. Another thing that I like is the built-in AI. Now, when I first got the glasses, the AI was somewhat limited. I remember back then it was only able to answer, really basic questions like, what was the time? Even like what was the weather. I don't think it could tell you, if I asked her what the weather was, it wouldn't automatically know like where I am, like when you ask Siri or Alexa. Like I would literally have to tell her, give me the weather in this specific city. Nowadays, the AI has gotten a lot better, especially now in the last update, I believe a couple months ago, when they started doing the live AI. You can now actually ask a lot of questions that, before you couldn't ask. Hey, Meta, what am I looking at?
You are looking at a photography studio with various equipment and backdrops.
Hey, Meta, can you set a 10-minute timer?
10 minutes. Started.
So it'll basically give you, they've actually worked a lot on the AI part, because at the beginning it was very limited, but now there's a lot more that you can get out of it. Also, I use the glasses to take phone calls. A lot of times, again, because the speakers are so good, and it has like 4 or 5 built-in microphones. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, they don't even know that I'm talking to them to my glasses. They have no idea, and it sounds super clean. Even better than just talking on the phone. You'll get every now and then you get people looking at you funny because they see you. If you're out in public and you're on the phone, obviously because they don't see you holding a phone in your hand, they might think you're talking to yourself. But other than that, they work pretty good to take, to get phone calls and things like that. You can take photos. It's got a 12 megapixel camera. You can take videos, with it. So, it's got some practical applications and some things. A lot of times when I'm out with the family, let's say I'm at the beach or just walking around in a city or somewhere, you can just snap a photo or take a video. You don't have to pull out your phone, So it has a convenience factor that really makes it, it simplifies. A lot of times I find myself, I don't even have to pull out my phone. And again, for what I got it for, which was the behind the scenes, I use it for that a lot. So I've taken many, photos, videos, And again, without having to pull out my phone. The case is actually really cool. It actually charges the glasses, and it actually charges them fairly fast. Usually in a matter of half an hour, it'll get it back to like 80, 90%, if not 100. So the case, and it's kind of a hard case, so it protects the glasses. So that's definitely a big plus. Now, like with any tech, there are going to be some limitations, especially being that this is the first generation. I'll give you some of what I found to be, I guess the most bothersome, or, however you want to put it. But number one is the fact that the video, you can only take up to 3 minutes long. It's the longest video you can take. Which, it can be a little bit of a hassle. A lot of times if you're recording something, you like the ability to stop when you're done, not so much, have the glasses stop the video for you and have to restart it. Another thing is that you can only take vertical video. Obviously, these were made by, Meta, who owns Facebook, Instagram. So, they obviously want to target, I guess, content creators and people that are making, vertical reels. But it would be nice if I could also take horizontal video. Also, the resolution is not like a standard resolution. Generally, for vertical video, it is 1080 by 1920. This is like some funky resolution where it's like 21 something by like 900. It's just, it's not like the standard where you can just take a video, drop it into, Instagram for a reel or TikTok, and immediately have it, you have to like reframe it and like make it the proper size. So something that I'm hoping the next gen, they'll address, actually take it to like 4K and have it be like a proper resolution where you don't have to do any resizing when you're trying to use the video. Also, another small annoyance is when you're taking a photo, there's like a slight delay. So like if you have somebody, you're taking a photo of somebody and you say, okay, let me take a photo. When you press the button or when you say, Meta, take a photo, it takes like a second or so. So, a lot of times the people start moving thinking that you've taken the photo, so you have to like tell them hold, you know what I mean? Like it's a small thing, but it can be, it could be a little bit of an inconvenience. Also, I find that, when you wear them for a long time after, if you wear them for like an hour or so, like your ear, the back of your, like it start to hurt, they're not super heavy, but if you wear them for a long extended period of time, I'd say over 45 minutes, an hour, you begin to feel like, like some soreness on the back of your ear. So, that's, something that you get used to or whatever. But, I have noticed that when I wear them, when I have them on set and I'm using them for, an hour, 2 hours, I've noticed that you do feel something. Now, my number one complaint, and from what I've researched and I've heard from other people, most people say the same thing, is the battery life. I find that if I use them nonstop, continuously, within a matter of an hour and a half, sometimes even an hour, if I'm constantly taking photos and videos, the battery will not last you 2 hours. Which is a shame. I think that's the one thing that in the next gen they have to address. Because again, you don't want to have to be, I'm now used to it, but I'm constantly taking them off. I'll put them in the case. I'll charge them, I'll keep them charging. Then half an hour later, I'll take them back out and I'll use them again. But it would be nice where you don't have to worry about doing that. I haven't put prescription glasses on mine, but if it's something I'm going to do, especially when I order my second. I'm waiting for the second gen to come out, and I'm gonna get those with prescription. So in that case, when I'm gonna be wearing them all the time, I would like obviously the battery to be a lot better. I don't want to have to be turning them off. There is an on and off button. I can do that, but again, that's the point. If you want to have the technology, if you have it, you want to be able to use it. So. Battery life, yes. Lastly, this is not exactly a negative, but I've noticed that a lot of times when people they realize, most times they don't know that these are smart glasses. They just think it's just, regular glasses. But when they do realize that you're wearing smart glasses, or when you tell them that these are smart glasses, then they start asking you, are you recording me? Are you taking a video of me? Are you taking pictures of me? So that's a lot of nuance, inconvenience, because people always think, but obviously when you are taking photos or video, there's a light flashing in the front of the lens. It's actually flashing, showing that you are actually recording. So, but a lot of people don't know that because they're not familiar with, the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. And even though they've become much more popular, they're not as popular as you might think they are. I work in the video content creation environment, and most times, 9 times out of 10, I'm telling people, oh yeah, these are smart glasses, and they don't even know that I'm wearing smart glasses. I've actually had some people that work with me buy the glasses just because, they saw me using them, and they saw the use that they had and how I was able to use them. So a couple of the people that work with me, they've actually gotten their Meta. Okay, so who are these for? Again, I think if you're a content creator, or even just, a regular person, if you're a dad or a mom, or, these are just great to capture everyday moment. A lot of times I'm with my kids, or I'm, we're out and about, I'm walking, and, just to capture everyday moments, these are perfect. Like I said, they do have the limitations, but again, this is generation 1, so I don't expect them, even when I bought them, I didn't expect them to be perfect. I like that what they were able to do, and I knew that there was some room for improvement. And again, I think, come the second generation, third generation, these are going to be, very useful. And I can see other companies, big companies jumping in, like Apple and Amazon. And, Amazon, they do have their glasses. I can't remember the name, and Google as well. But, Apple, you're going to see this more and more, because they actually have, there's some actual use to them. It's not just like a gadget. A lot of times people think this is just a gadget, it's just some useless thing. No, this actually has practical, real life uses. And so I've come to actually rely on my glasses. I definitely say that, I definitely recommend it. If you're a person who likes capturing, everyday moments, things like that, this might be just what you're looking for. All right, that is all for today. If you have any comments, you can put them down below. I always check. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.